This is my project on the cultural assessment of the group homeless drug users with plan of care by Kelly Campbell. This slide has some of the demographics for homeless drug users. Essentially, 35% of all the homeless people in the US are unsheltered, living on the streets, and 257,000 homeless people are dealing with mental illness or have a chronic substance abuse issue, and a huge population of them are dependent on alcohol. And there's a wide range of cultures and races that make up the homeless drug user population. It's not just one race in particular, it's kind of all across the board. Here I have listed the sociocultural factors and impact on healthcare from this group. And the main thing is homeless people, when they're being discharged, they may not have anywhere to go. So that's something that definitely puts an impact on healthcare, and definitely something that social workers and case managers need to be involved with this, as well as nurses, because we need to figure out where we're going to send this person. We don't want to just put them back on the street. We want to do our best to get them, in a good situation in a homeless shelter or somewhere like that. There could be a potential pushback from the homeless person, especially a homeless drug user, not wanting to go to a homeless shelter because they don't want to have to follow the rules of no drugs and no alcohol. And there's definitely a huge financial burden that impacts healthcare due to many of these patients not having health insurance. So homeless drug users definitely have a barrier to their access to healthcare. Without health insurance, their access to healthcare is very limited. They have a high reliance on emergency room, and homeless drug users tend to suffer with very treatable and preventable health issues. They rely on free clinics to provide medical care. However, going to the emergency room is definitely more common. And mental illness and substance abuse is often a barrier to seeking medical care that they need. So these are some of the strengths and weaknesses of homeless drug users. The weaknesses are lack of social support, a high rate of substance abuse and dependency, and barriers to healthcare such as financial burden and lack of resources. And strengths are seeking ways to get clean and sober, and appreciation and thankfulness for staff and the care given to them. We can use these strengths and weaknesses and apply to nursing practice by kind of, improving social support and removing stigma and educating people on the homeless population and the homeless drug user population. And then we could also use their strengths by reaching out to organizations that help people get clean, help them really pave a way of actually getting clean, giving them resources to help them, make these choices and stay on that right track. So some ways that we can enhance the practice and patient care of homeless drug users are removing stigmas, equipping healthcare staff with cultural competency, treating all patients as individuals, and the implementation of Watson-Caritas process number 1 specifically. This is where we, as individuals, check our biases and, really helping to see where we came from and revealing our background. And the way when we do this, we can, have a better understanding of other people. We all came from different backgrounds. We all have different walks of life, and keeping that in mind really helps us to know that everyone is different and everyone should be treated individually. Just because in the past you've taken care of a homeless drug user, your next homeless patient isn't going to be the same way. And by treating everyone as individuals, we can really enhance the patient care of homeless drug users. Here are some strategies that will help promote interpersonal teaching and learning These are some things that guide my practice today and my future practice as well. And these are things that are definitely inspired by Gene Watson's curative processes. So the strategies are working together, keeping an open mind, learning from others, teaching others, and considering things from the perspective of someone else. So essentially kind of putting yourself in someone else's shoes. These strategies are very valuable to my practices, and they will help in improving my care given to patients and definitely improving my cultural competency. These are the nursing diagnoses that I chose for the plan of care to kind of focus on. I chose ineffective health maintenance related to alteration and cognitive functioning, and the alteration cognitive functioning could either be related to being under the influence of substances or even mental illness. And then hopelessness related to loss of support systems and a home. Here are the goals that I decided to choose just to kind of narrow it down based on like the needs of these patients. So I chose the patient will acknowledge the harm of substance abuse and will demonstrate effective health maintenance by abstaining from substance abuse. And then the patient will demonstrate effective health maintenance by participating in substance abuse programs identified by health staff. The patient will have a more optimistic outlook on life. The patient will show an improved belief in self and ability to better themselves. These interventions I chose, there's definitely a lot more I feel would have been applicable to these patients to help them, improve their health maintenance and, help improve their feelings of hopelessness, feeling more hopeful. But I definitely narrowed it down a little bit to some important ones. I said, collaborate with social workers and case management to determine resources that best fit the patient needs, determine the resources available in the patient's area to provide free healthcare, because finances are definitely a barrier for this homeless drug user population. Find free transportation opportunities to get rid of financial and ride barriers to appointments. Rides are definitely a barrier to these patients. This kind of is a reason why these patients seem to be non-compliant. Typically is because they don't have transportation to follow-up appointments. Use therapeutic communication, such as listening, to enable the patient to express the reason behind hopeless feelings. Encourage the patient to participate in care in order to show patient their capabilities. I feel like that's really important because this is going to show the patient, hey, you know what, I am capable of doing these things. I can achieve things. And then make the patient feel encouraged and accepted and avoid judgment. So to evaluate some of the cultural patterns of this group that may affect nursing care is noncompliance due to barriers may affect homeless drug users participating in reaching these goals. High drug and alcohol abuse within this community may make it difficult for these individuals to follow through on being sober and abstaining from drugs. A quote that I've heard very often is, show me your friends and I will show you your future, which is essentially saying who you hang out with is who you're going to become. So, a homeless drug user patient can get clean and sober, but if they're continuing to spend time with the people that use drugs, they might just fall back into their old patterns and what they used to do. And then another thing that could affect nursing care is the stigma that these patients have could affect the care given to them. And then without someone leading and providing the how-to on getting resources, this group may never get the help they need, because someone providing the resource there is the first step that a lot of these patients need in order to make improvements in their life. I think that all of Watson's curative processes, all 10 of them, can apply to any patient. However, I chose these in particular. I chose number 4 because your patient can't open up to you if there isn't a trusting relationship. And we can apply this one by showing no judgment, by establishing rapport with the patient, and by simply stating that we are there to help them. I think that really shows your patient, I'm here to help you, I want to help you, and I'm here for you, like, let me know what you need. And number 8, I chose this one because these patients are probably going to feel hopeless and really weighed down on how society has treated them. and how individuals in society treat them. And we can apply this by providing basic needs for this patient, providing them with things to take a bath, giving them a toothbrush and toothpaste, mouthwash, and putting them in a safe and comfortable environment, and also assessing them spiritually, just seeing what they need to balance out their spiritual side. And I just think really number 8 provides them with that respectful human dignity that they haven't been getting. So reflecting on why I chose the interventions that I chose and the Caritas processes I also chose, I kind of came up with these points. Everyone deserves the right to receive medical care, and a lot of these patients can't afford that, and so we need resources for them. And then homeless drug users aren't non-compliant, they just don't have the resources to get them to appointments and following up on continuing to take their medications that they need. And then I also came up with, don't assume the background of a patient based on how they look or where they came from, and promote the optimization of health beyond the hospital. That's really important for this group of patients and group in society. And we all come from different backgrounds and belief systems, and everyone deserves holistic care that focuses on improving their mind, body, spirit, and illness.